Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Fernanda, for organising this session. It's definitely an interesting sort of segue into from digital twins and geospatial data into very much similar to what we do. Using tools like Ian's into what we do in terms of delivering full blown geospatial solutions for for our end customers as well. So yeah, very excited to be here. I think a little bit about, for those of you who don't know about Rocket and who we are and what we do, we've been around for about just over about 12 years now, and have really sort of focused on our niche of the ability of drone and high resolution data to be able to be deployed in these very fast changing environments to be able to process and provide insights in near real time. And we really, what we do as a business is that we're able to really build a moat around the drone sort of regulatory approvals, as well as our drone and our integration skills around software to deliver a complete solution that enables these enterprises in obtaining this data very, very quickly. A quick little snapshot of the business and where we're at. We're a 6 million revenue business for last year, sort of 23, and the revenue is primarily built on long-term recurring revenue contracts. So we're going to these large mining tier 1, tier 2 customers, signing up long-term deals and deploying our solutions there, because this is it's information that they need on a continuous basis to enable their operations or to optimize what they're doing on site. Our market has traditionally been within the mining space, but we're seeing a really growing segment within the oil and gas and even renewable energy sectors as well. So as a small micro cap, we're very proud of the sort of the journey that we've been on in terms of positioning the business for growth. And we're very exciting in terms of the opportunities that are now being realized within the enterprise segment. As sort of mentioned, we traditionally deal with these large customers, B2Bs, in this space. And typically these are the kind of the deals that take a little bit longer to negotiate. They sometimes take a bit of a while to onboard, because even to get, let's say, a single unit or single product on site, because what we do is it's not a pure software, it's a combination of hardware, software, and people to deliver these on-site solutions. And to go through the entire process, you need to tick all the safety, the cybersecurity, and all the other sort of regulatory boxes that need to get on there for the very first unit. And what's really exciting about our business is that how we've sort of repositioned it for growth in the new autonomous segment, specifically focused within these sort of arenas of workflows that are requiring sort of automation. Just sort of as an example, we looking at these large scale mining companies and how they deploy sort of drones and drone data. You've got large sort of, let's say, the largest sort of operator of drones in the Pilbara has got about 400 pilots deployed, collecting drone data, and they're looking to automate about 25% of that process flow using new sort of drone technology, right? And this is mainly around the constraints around getting labor onto site, finding the skills necessary, and essentially the time saving and the cost factors associated with getting out there and collecting that data. So we've really built a product around focusing on how do we automate that side and essentially provide the data output, which is what the customers are essentially looking for. We're very proud is also how far we've come in the last couple of years. We had a particular idea and a goal and strategy which we wanted to target. I think a lot of people think what we do is got a very is almost a little too niche. But what our sort of argument to that is, it's really about we've sort of seen the applications of drones is only growing. It's probably just what sort of people's perceptions when they think about drone technology is very much sort of what you see on the consumer sort of end, but really in the sort of the quiet back end of the enterprise realm, you've got tens of thousands of drones which are operating, collecting data on a daily basis, and how that is collected and how that is processed and interpreted is really key into delivering a sustainable solution over a continuous period and on a very frequent basis. And what we always wanted to do as a company is really understand the problems that the customers were having on site, and really not try to reinvent the wheel, but rather automate that wheel as best as possible. And I'll chat a little bit about our new product launch a little bit later as well. In terms of our financials, it's again, we're primarily, majority of our revenues is from a recurring revenue base. We do have a segment of it that is project related, but primarily it's all about, signing up these long-term contracts, this incremental growth over time within the business. And that's allowed us to employ and develop the business and build these new products within sort of our own stable as well, and turn them around very quickly. So we're very proud in how far we've come and how flexible, adaptable we are to understanding our clients and the market within this space as well. A couple of examples of workflows that we automate and really based on all our experience predominantly within this mining industry and a little bit within the agriculture space, is we're focusing on that 80-20 principle, is saying what do majority of our customers do that we can look to automate using the drones and the software components to really kind of spare up their time and allow them to focus on what they need to do. So this would all go from using drones and our technology solutions all the way in the exploration space into predominantly what we do a lot of is within the survey planning and providing volumetrics. But where we're also seeing a really big growth areas within geotechnical. So this is understanding the safety components and essentially the rock mass, the composition, and the pit conformance aspects of the open pit mining arena as well. And then all the other sort of safety elements when it comes to sort of tailing storage facilities as well, and probably bleeding into a little bit of what Pointera does is on the construction and infrastructure space. So using drones to do continuous progress monitoring and drawing these heat maps to show where the progress may be lacking or ahead of target as well. We see a very strong growth sector within the security and surveillance space. That also is a really strong sector, and we've seen a couple of government tenders come out with specifically targeting this. So using drones in a proactive security perimeter patrolling application to allow them to really detect and mitigate against any risks that are coming people into these very sensitive or sort of high risk areas. What makes us unique versus any of the other competition is we've already taken the last couple of years to build up a lot of these regulatory approvals and our ability to interact with enterprise customers at their level. I think there are very few, if any, that can actually tick all the boxes in understanding what do enterprise companies need in order to outsource their regular drone services on a regular basis. One of the big ones that we've achieved over the years is beyond visual line of sight. But in addition to that is what we call remote beyond visual line of sight. So this allows us the capability to not needing to be able to deploy a human with the drone on site, but be able to only just deploy the drone in a box product and allow that to capture all the data remotely. And that's been a really, really successful part of sort of our new strategy and new product growth arena. We've seen a lot of sort of pipeline building within that space as well, and a lot of positive customer feedback and growth within that new product segment. A couple of the financial highlights are based on our last sort of quarterly results, which we just sort of finished up, which we released about sort of just under 2 weeks ago. It's really all about growing again that ARR component. The business is from a net cash point of view from the last sort of quarterly only burning about just over about 100,000 compared to just over 300 the prior quarter. So as a team, we're always very conscious of the cash burn and what's needed to develop and grow and expand this business, because you've already essentially got two two stages of it. You've got this sort of, I would say, the legacy part of the business, which is again where we're taking people and deploying them out to these contracts and fulfilling these jobs and these opportunities. But then you've also got the new growth arena, which is all about the automation element and product that's very new and that we're expanding on. So finding the balance between maintaining the current and growing the existing revenue base, but as well as expanding on that with our new products is sort of that really interesting balance that we're always keen and focused on as well. So we've just really kind of taken the time to make these very much these small adjustments. How do we use all the sort of the skills and the capacity that we've got on board to get us to that next step of the growth phase, and which is really about, as an example, you can sort of see there the Calidus announcement, really focused about deploying our new XBot solution, which is it's a really easy product and really easy for customers to see, and once we sort of put them in an initial sort of trial, customers just don't want these units to leave. So we're really quite positive about the strategy which we've adopted and where we're headed, and I'm very excited on the sort of next phase. I won't probably rest too long, but this is all available via the website or on the ASX platform as well. But again, the business has all just been about consistent growth, focused on getting the basics and the first principles right in what we're doing. A lot of the current revenues, what you're seeing is again coming out of that legacy part of the business with the new product revenue starting to reflect slightly now in the new quarterlies. As mentioned a little bit earlier, there's a lot more dynamics to Rocket DNA and our revenue stream as well. You've got the recurring revenue business. We've got customers who've been with us for a very long time, and then you've got project-related revenue, which essentially is a reflection of our pipeline. Customers coming in want to do a proof of concept before moving into a longer-term arrangement. This is a quick sort of highlight about sort of the cash basis as well, how we've sort of managed the cash flow process over the time, and you can sort of see over the sort of last year when we had to sort of R&D and develop the product, where we had to burn a little bit more cash, but how we're able to sort of rein that in and show that the business is on the right trajectory for profitability as well, which we're very excited to achieve in the short term. And sort of building on the sort of the Calidus win and the announcement as well, the continuing sort of growth. Our model has always been about offering and signing up long-term contracts. I think while it's always very appealing and sexy to sell once-off big $1 million sort of deals all at a time, and we'll never say no to that, but we're also understanding it's just as key to build the small wins over the long terms, because that builds, you sort of build a business a lot more responsibly, step by step, as the sort of one single revenue comes in from 1, 2, 3 products as well. We sort of expand and use those monies to continue to grow that business, saying that we're not only just focused on the one-to-one sort of sales as well. We understand that the conversations that are being had around the autonomous product and at the large scale sort of missions and the problems that it can solve are also being had in terms of from an asset management perspective, and really sort of speaking to these large players and how do you deploy 10s and 20s of them. And probably to give you a little bit of an example of what we've been up to and what sort of our focus is for the next couple of months is really around our autonomous XBot solution. So we've taken about 60 different components, pulled this all together into a solution, and taken the time to get all the regulatory approvals done. And this has been by no means any small feat. It's a really complex process in that you're involving all these specialty skills from aviators, technology personnel, engineers, surveyors, all these inputs together to build a solution that can actually be deployed and remotely and entirely left alone to continually run. And the solution that we built and tried and tested over the last year has been fully robust, and it's actually built a lot of confidence in customers now to start including this as part of their strategy and their long-term growth plans within the business as well. And the way in which it essentially works, I'll sort of put the photo up here as well, is that you have the unit here on the left, which we call an export unit. So we take a whole lot of different components, whether that be a DGR box or Skydio, or we're pretty agnostic in the terms of the actual hardwares, but we pull this all together, we certify it, take it through so the electrical certification sort of process, and build a solution that's fit for purpose and scalable. And once these units are then deployed to site, they're collecting data on a daily basis. So this continuous flying, about 80% of it is scheduled. And what you're seeing is that data then, as the drone comes back, it lands in this box, and then the data is sort of transmitted and shared with the customer. In the top right, you can see sort of a snapshot of one of the stations at our remote operating center. So there's always going to be a human in the loop, according to the CAS approvals, someone who's monitoring the drone, even though it's pretty much operating on autopilot. But you need that human or that remote operator there who's monitoring the weather, monitoring the air traffic, performing deconfliction if necessary as well, and just essentially someone to call if there's ever an on-demand request or an emergency on site that needs to be filmed. We're seeing a lot of those kind of requests coming from customers where these units are deployed. They're primarily being used for surveying and modeling on site, but then we're seeing the growth coming in a lot of the ad hoc and on-demand applications, such as if it be emergency or even using AI to do water leak detection. So running a drone every single day over a 10-kilometer pipeline or a conveyor, doing thermal and image analysis and actually looking for damp spots along that water pipeline. And again, you're constantly removing people who've been doing these dull, dirty, dangerous, boring tasks, and we're sort of fully automating that. So it's been a really validating experience that over the last year, as we've sort of built and deployed the solution, we also realized that by taking a human out of the loop and not having a person on site anymore, we had to create a front-end application, which you see in the bottom left is our SiteTube application as well. So as the drone is flying, you're getting a live video feed, or as the drone to lands, uploads all the photos and the videos which were recorded, and essentially makes it available to the customers in a raw format that they're able to sort of consume it. And you'll be amazed that even simple things like this, where customers are getting this daily near real-time video feed back in the palm of their hands before they even get out of bed, is made it so that some of the sites we deployed it, there's 60 users subscribed out of that one customer site, that everybody wants that data, because now they're using it in their daily management meetings and their handover meetings. It's becoming so ingrained. And what we're very excited as a business, and I think it's probably really important to sort of clarify the phased approach that we're taking here, is we're really in the phase right now of land grabbing. It's about putting the units out there and really just getting the customers through the change management process. And the software application layers becomes the secondary step, where then customers start asking, well, what else can you do? Other than just surveying and emergency response. And that's where we're bringing in the conveyors, the water pipelines, all these very unique and interesting applications that customers are requesting, and you're getting it all from a single unit. So that essentially increases the stickiness factor of who we are and what we're doing for these customers, because you're just seeing that more geospatial data. Customers are becoming a lot more acclimatized to what it means and how to handle it, and the software applications involved. And so, we're very excited in how the deployments are going. And maybe as a sort of a brief example, and sort of shows you some of the chats, you're able to add on additional sensors and sirens and lights to these units. And one of the applications is, again, is automating these tasks such as methane detection, not only in oil and gas, but even in mining environments where you're drilling and exposing dangerous gases. So this allows you to detect and be proactive in how we really address these sort of growing concerns within these environments. And these are kind of the scenarios as we're going out and chatting to clients, that they get very excited, particularly when you're thinking about drone technology. Is really about, you want to focus on issues on a micro scale. And as an example, you're able to automate your assets and plant inspection. So once you've kind of built your digital twin and you've got assets of concern, you can then be programming the drone on a systematic basis to be able to go and every day at that time, at the same angle, the same height, take photos of insulators, look at the corrosion, understand the nuts and the bolts of everything that's happening on site. And this is really that, again, just that phase one layer of just starting off, understanding what the clients want, and then building the software processes behind that to allow them to consume and make decisions on a very frequent basis. And probably to sort of skip quickly through, but to give an idea of like the solution we're delivering for Calidus, they really had a requirement where they were struggling to really just get surveyors out to these very far remote regional sites. It's some of the most remote sites in Australia, and just to be able to know what the mill was producing on a daily basis. And this where our export solution is going to be deployed, combined with our Straios tool, is essentially providing automated stockpile volumetrics on a daily basis. And this just happens continuously. They've got a system they can obviously log into, a visualization tool to get and calculate it, or they just essentially just get emailed the PDF and the Excel. I think that's probably where I'll sort of leave it for now, Mark, and be open to any questions.
Thanks, Chris. One, I just wanted to touch on let's stay with the new products, the XBot solution and stuff. In terms of, I think Calidus are taking 5 of these, if I remember from the announcement. Is that just refresh my memory?
No, so we've deployed 5 of them currently. Calidus has taken 6, including in South Africa as well. And then we're starting our next deployment of 5 units at the moment. So a couple of these are going out in a trial phase, and some of them are going out for paying customers.
Okay, yeah, that's where I wanted to get to the which was Calidus and which are the new ones. So in terms of these proofs of concepts with the new customers, one of the questions I had is, do you get paid for these proof of concepts? And then what is the kind of timeline of, do these customers want to see it over a month, a 3-month span? Just talk us through, if now that we have the kind of Calidus experience of, proof of concepts to actually signing a contract, and then they're rolling out more than just maybe the 1 or 2 units that they've had as part of the proof of concept. Maybe just talk us through that timeline so people kind of get a better idea of, okay, you're doing proof of concepts, but how long until we, get to the end result of, an announcement of contract wins?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, Mark. And it's also an interesting space for anyone in any business that's building a new product, right? Like, sort of finding that. So when you're developing something unique as this, it's a tool that can be used from large tier 1s all the way to the tier 3s in the mining world, but can also be deployed, again, oil and gas, renewable energy, like you can just think about some of the large solar farms that projects that they need to sort of continuously keep monitoring, their solar farms, right? And what we've really kind of seen is from a trial perspective. So maybe I'll take a step back and say we are so confident in the solution now that we don't actually offer any more free trials. So we've sort of taken it now to the point of view, we make it very easy for customers to buy and lease the unit, even on a month-to-month basis. But we're not offering any more free trials from our side. We do have very large tier 1 customers on trial, and that was more of a strategic decision as a business, because these are the kind of clients, again, who go from 1 to 100 in a very short space of time. and probably, when you're thinking of tier ones, I mean, it's probably could take, two, 3, 4 years. You never know, how that those sort of roll out, but they can make the decision at one place. And I think it's really important for everyone to know this is not a case of we're creating something new or reinventing the wheel. These customers already are using drones on their sites, right? But they're paying very expensive engineers to go out and collect all this data. And we're really sort of leveraging and disrupting the part where we're saying drone data collection is fully commoditized now, and bringing together the right technology and actually probably outsourcing that is actually the way that this is all going to be going, right? That where vast majority of all drone data collected will all be done autonomously. And so that's where we're leaning into it. In terms of the tier twos and the tier threes, the sales cycles are a lot quicker. So we don't have a constraint in the sales. We actually have too many opportunities. I think it's about because we're the sort of the leading factor in this, and especially in this this sort of format of the drone in a box, right? I think a lot of people previously, like drone in a box is not a new concept, but previously there were very big, large, complex, very expensive systems, and now we've managed to really containerize this and I use the word fit for purpose, but these systems are probably 3 times cheaper than hiring a surveyor, and that's the comparables, and that's the attractiveness where people are saying, right, it's now at the price point where we can start deploying, start replacing a lot of our standard or manual drone data collection, and rather bring those people back into the office to focus on either the data processing or the data reporting element.
And then in terms of typical contracts, the Caladaeus one that's come through for the drone the box solution, is that kind of what most of the contracts are going to look like? It's going to be a kind of a 3-year piece rather than a 1 year with an annual renewal. Is that kind of, if we're looking down the road 12-18 months from now, any more further drone the box contracts will kind of have that kind of 3-year cadence?
Yeah, so when we're presenting this, we're obviously presenting multiple options to customers, and again, I guess like with your vehicle, right, Mark, the longer you sort of lease it over, the more cost effective the OPEX, the per month cost is, right? So customers are price sensitive, especially in this inflation environment, which again leads on to why they're so open to automation and our XBot solution as an option within their sites. So yes, the average is coming at around about the 3-year sort of mark, where we've seen customers are very comfortable with. But more on top of that, Mark, again, it's you're sort of seeing the customers start off with one again, and it takes that while to tick all the safety boxes, get on site, get the customers just used to how they receive a data. Instead of from a human, you now have to go through a web interface and download your data, and it's just even to us it seems pretty simple, but it's still a big change management process that we need to go through with the customers, because there's just no face on site. They're all sitting in a remote operating center, and so customers are starting off with one, and then they're expanding 2, 3, 4, 5s. And that's where we see this growing is again, they need it everywhere. They start with one now, and then they expand the rest to cover the rest of their operations, because these particular units only have a range of 5 to 6 kilometers. So let's say sort of 5 square kilometers, so 10 kilometers point to point. So you need to deploy multiple of these units to cover your operations if they're large or spread over vast geographic areas.
Yeah, no, exactly. And 2.0 of the model that we see on the skid here is as you kind of get more units rolled out and more proof of concepts, are you finding new improvements and potentially kind of little add-ons that you can give to customers down the line? Is that something that's starting to come true? Because it's great having the first unit, but you'll have so much more experience after 10 or 12 units that actually there's actually more we can do here. Is that starting to come true now that you've got more units physically operating in the field and getting that customer feedback as opposed to, testing it in the workshop?
Yeah. So again, I guess things speaking to our culture and our principle of always sort of that 80/20 rule, right? We want to build economies of scale. We want to be standardizing the product so they can be rapidly deployed and put out to site. And these are like we really feel we've got it there. You can put this unit and have it flying in half a day. It's all the things on the other side, again around safety and getting power to the unit and all of this that just take a little bit longer. But in terms of the unit, it works from day one. And but saying that we own this is our IP. We own the complete sort of phase, right, from all the assembly of it all the way to the software components. Like we manage all of that, and there's about again 60 components that all come together to make the solution work. So it's not just what you see on on the front end there. It's also what's all happening in the back end in the remote operating center, from managing human fatigue, awareness. It's there's a lot of factors that sort of got to be considered in deploying a scalable solution. And we're all about how do we make this as efficient as possible. So not just from a hardware construction point of view, but we even recently got sort of approvals to do 1 to 5 operations, so a single remote operator controlling 5 of these at the same time. So the efficiencies just continue to get better and better and better, and thus we can drive the cost points down and essentially making drone data and high resolution data a continuous feature on these enterprise sites.
Chris, we are actually, sorry, we've slightly gone over time, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. Apologies for that. Thank you very much for coming back and joining us once again. It was good to get another update from Rocket DNA, and yeah, we'll keep an eye on the ASX announcements page for hopefully a few more of these contracts coming through and multiple units going on to sites around the country.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.